Welcome to tonight's sleep story. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and let go of the day. Allow yourself to relax and settle into a peaceful state as my voice gently guides you through a world of calm and tranquility. With each word, feel the tension slip away, leaving only relaxation and comfort. Let's drift into a soothing story together as you begin your journey into a restful and rejuvenating sleep.
The night is calm, the only sound being the soft rustling of the trees outside your window. You are nestled in your bed, the warmth of your blankets cocooning you, and the soft light of the moon spilling into the room. As you close your eyes, a distant sound begins to take shape. It's the faintest whisper of music, so delicate that you have to strain to hear it, the haunting, soothing melody of a piano. The notes, though quiet, fill the air like a soft breath, slow and steady, like the opening movement of something vast and beautiful. They carry with them the weight of history, the same notes that once echoed through the grand halls of Vienna, the very city where one of the greatest musical minds of all time first began to craft his genius. The man who composed these notes, though, was not just a genius, he was a man who, despite the odds, rewrote the future of music itself. He was Ludwig van Beethoven, and the sounds of his music are more than just notes on a page. They are the voice of his soul, passionate, intense, and fiercely independent. As the piano's notes continue, you are taken back in time to Vienna, where Beethoven's music first began to challenge the norms of classical music. The city, known for its love of structure, of formality, was on the verge of being irrevocably changed by Beethoven's insistence on breaking free from tradition. His compositions, bold, energetic, and full of depth, sounded different than anything that had come before. It wasn't just about the beauty of the melody anymore, it was about the emotion behind the music, the power of sound to capture the depth of human experience. As Beethoven sat at his piano, composing his symphonies, sonatas, and string quartets, the weight of his inner world poured into every note. Despite his increasing deafness, his music never lost its power. Instead, it gained a new kind of depth. The more his ears failed him, the more he connected with his inner emotional landscape, creating some of the most profound music the world has ever known. The air in Beethoven's studio is thick with the tension of the music he's creating. He is no longer able to hear the sounds of the orchestra in the way that he once did, but the music still flows from him, as if it is being pulled from the very depths of his soul. The world he once knew, the world of sound, is slipping away from him, but in its place, a new world begins to take shape. His deafness is a constant battle, a war fought between his mind and body. But Beethoven is not a man to be defeated. In the silence of his world, he becomes even more determined, channeling his inner fire into his compositions. His music is no longer just an exploration of melody and harmony, it has become something more, something raw, something profound. The weight of his emotions, his pain, and his struggle to make sense of the world around him is woven into every movement, every chord. He becomes a conductor of inner chaos, a maestro of conflict and resolution. Despite the silence, Beethoven's compositions become an expression of freedom, a rebellion against the forces of fate that seek to silence him. His Fifth Symphony, with its iconic four-note motif, becomes a metaphor for his struggle, the triumph of the human spirit against the unyielding forces of nature. The da-da-da-da echoes the heart's relentless pulse, symbolizing both defiance and hope. And through this struggle, Beethoven creates his most beloved symphonies, works that resonate far beyond the time they were composed, echoing through the ages like the voice of humanity itself. Now, imagine yourself in the quiet, candlelit parlor of Paris, where another great composer, Frédéric Chopin, sits at his piano, his slender fingers moving across the keys with quiet elegance. Chopin's music, unlike Beethoven's grand, sweeping symphonies, is a delicate expression of intimacy. It is as though each note he plays is a secret whispered only to those who listen closely enough. Chopin was a man of deep emotion and introspection, and his music mirrored his inner world, tender, fragile, and full of longing. His nocturnes, those soft, dreamlike piano pieces, are a perfect reflection of his ability to express sorrow and beauty in equal measure. Every movement of his fingers across the keys seems to echo his personal battle with illness, his yearning for a life of peace amidst the chaos of his health struggles. Despite his own frailty, Chopin's music radiates a quiet strength. There is a gentleness in his melodies, a sense of warmth and solace that wraps around you like a comforting embrace. His music speaks of the delicate nature of love, the fleeting beauty of life, and the profound depth of his inner emotions. Each time he sat at the piano, Chopin gave a piece of himself to the world, a piece that continues to live on through every note of his beloved works. As the night deepens, a new sound fills the air. It is not the delicate whispers of Chopin, nor the powerful storm of Beethoven's symphonies. This sound is different, dissonant, aggressive, and full of raw energy. The name of this music is Igor Stravinsky, and with his revolutionary work, The Rite of Spring, he shattered the world of classical music forever. The premiere of The Rite of Spring in 1913 in Paris was nothing short of a musical revolution. The audience, unprepared for the jarring rhythms and dissonant melodies, erupted in chaos. But for Stravinsky, this was the beginning of a new era in music. His work challenged the very foundations of what music could be, creating a world where rhythm and dissonance became as important as melody and harmony. Stravinsky's music was a stark departure from the lush, lyrical compositions of his predecessors. His rhythms were wild, unpredictable, and unrelenting, like a force of nature sweeping through the audience. He didn't just break the rules of classical music, he rewrote them, creating a soundscape that was raw, untamed, and full of life. Through his work, he invited the world to listen not just to the music, but to the power of sound itself, its ability to shape emotion, to challenge perception, and to reshape the boundaries of artistic expression. The music continues to play, and the stories of these great composers, Beethoven, Chopin, Stravinsky, unfold before you. Each one of them brought a new vision to life, one that continues to resonate with audiences to this day. Beethoven's defiance, Chopin's tenderness, and Stravinsky's rebellion have shaped the course of music, but their legacies extend far beyond the notes they left behind. Through their struggles, their triumphs, and their creative genius, they have shown us the power of music to transcend time, space, and circumstance. Their work is a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure, to create, and to express the deepest parts of the soul. Music, in its many forms, has the ability to speak when words fail, and through the work of these composers, we hear the echoes of their voices long after their lives have ended. As you lie back in the quiet of the night, the sounds of their music filling the room, you realize that the power of their work is not just in the notes that are played, but in the spaces between the notes. It is in the silence, the pauses, the moments of reflection that their music truly speaks to you, connecting your heart to theirs. The world they created through their music lives on, eternal and beautiful, in the hearts of those who listen. As the sun dips below the horizon, a soft golden glow spills through the window of a quiet Parisian apartment. Inside, Frédéric Chopin sits at his piano, the room filled with the faint hum of the city outside, but the world feels far away. The only sounds that matter are those created by his fingers dancing lightly across the keys. The delicate notes fill the space, soft and melancholic, as if each one holds the weight of his soul. Despite his delicate health, Chopin's music flows effortlessly, transcending the limits of his body. With each phrase, his emotions spill out, tenderness, pain, love, all wrapped in the shimmering beauty of his compositions. But there is a certain stillness in the air as Chopin continues to play, his fingers brushing the keys with a sort of quiet intensity. He is alone in the room, yet he feels as though the entire world is listening. The music, though composed for the piano, seems to fill every corner of the space, capturing the essence of not only the present moment but also the lingering memories of his past. Chopin's music is often called poetic, and in these moments, it becomes clear why. His nocturnes, especially, echo the quiet beauty of the night. They are full of longing, an ache for something unattainable, something just out of reach. And yet, within this longing is peace, a sense of acceptance that comes with understanding the impermanence of all things. Each note that Chopin plays speaks to the fragile beauty of the world, of love that fades, of life that slips by in an instant, but with grace and dignity. His music, like his life, is full of gentle melancholy, but there is also a profound joy that underlies each piece. As the evening progresses, the melodies of Chopin begin to intertwine, creating a sense of fluidity, as if time itself is bending in response to the music. In these quiet hours, his delicate health seems less of a burden and more of a guiding force in his compositions. Chopin's fragile body contrasts sharply with the boldness of his music, a paradox that only deepens the power of his works. Despite his vulnerability, Chopin's artistry reveals an inner strength, a courage to express what is most personal, most raw, through the most delicate of instruments. His frailty becomes part of the music itself, adding a layer of emotional complexity that makes his pieces not only beautiful but deeply moving. In the stillness, you can almost hear Chopin's heart, beating softly in time with the piano's gentle pulse. The room, dimly lit and filled with the soft fragrance of the flowers that sit on his windowsill, feels like a sanctuary. This is where Chopin's music is born, in the quiet moments, the private hours where he creates not for the world but for himself. There is no audience here, no pressure to perform or to impress. In these moments, Chopin is free. He is not the famous composer or the celebrated pianist. He is simply a man, alone with his thoughts, creating music that speaks only to his heart. But even in this solitude, Chopin feels the weight of his legacy. Though his health often betrays him, and his days are filled with pain, the world outside continues to celebrate him. His music is loved, adored, and admired by many, but it is in these quiet moments, when the world is still, that Chopin's true essence is captured. He is not the performer on the grand stage, he is the creator of something far more intimate, more personal. Through the music, he shares a part of himself with the world, a part that no one can truly touch or understand, but a part that is still felt in every note. The piano's melody shifts, as Chopin's mood begins to lighten. His pieces, though often melancholic, are full of light and hope. The waltzes and mazurkas that he composed pulse with life, full of the energy and joy that he found in fleeting moments. Despite his own struggles, there is a sense of resilience in his music, a quiet determination to live and to love, despite the fragility of his body. Each piece becomes a testament to the beauty of life, even when it is fleeting. Chopin, in his music, creates a world where the light shines through the darkness, where the soul can soar even in the face of mortality. As the music fades into silence, Chopin lifts his hands from the keys, the room now bathed in the soft glow of the evening. His music lingers in the air, filling the space with a sense of peace. For a moment, everything is still, the world outside, the flickering candlelight, even the air itself. It is as if time has slowed, and in that moment, you are completely immersed in the world of Chopin. There are no more boundaries between you and the music, no separation between the composer and the listener. You are both, for this moment, one with the music. Chopin's life, like his music, is full of contradictions. He is both fragile and strong, both private and deeply connected to the world around him. His music, full of delicate beauty and profound emotion, mirrors the complexity of his own spirit. And as you sit with his music, letting it wash over you, you realize that his legacy, though deeply personal, is one that continues to speak to everyone who listens. His notes are not just sounds, they are emotions, they are stories, they are windows into a soul that lived and created, even in the face of illness and isolation. The night is calm, and the faint sound of the distant city outside blends with the warmth of your surroundings. The gentle crackling of a fire in the hearth creates a soft ambience in the room, where the quiet is broken only by the occasional flicker of the flames. It is a peaceful, almost melancholic atmosphere, the perfect setting for reflection. And as the warmth of the room begins to lull you into a sense of calm, the soft, distant strains of a piano can be heard, not forceful, but tender, as if reaching out from another time. This music carries with it a history, one woven with the threads of countless lives, struggles, and triumphs. It is the music of Ludwig van Beethoven, whose legacy continues to reverberate through the world, even long after his death. But the music you hear now is not the grand, thunderous symphonies that echoed through the concert halls of Europe. No, this is something quieter, something more intimate, personal. These are the late string quartets of Beethoven, compositions that speak to the inner world of a man who had long been silenced by the deafness that consumed him. Beethoven's late quartets, filled with complexity and emotional depth, are a window into his soul during the final years of his life. Though the world around him continued to move forward, Beethoven's world had become one of silence. His ears no longer carried the sounds of the orchestra or the symphonies he once conducted. Instead, he lived in a world shaped by vibrations and memories, with the music still flowing inside him, even if the external world could no longer hear it. These quartets, unlike his earlier works, are less concerned with external applause and more focused on an internal dialogue. It is as if, in these final compositions, Beethoven was searching for something deeper, something more profound than the recognition he had already achieved. His deafness had forced him to look inward, to explore the vast emotional and intellectual territories that lay within himself. Each note he wrote in these final quartets was a whisper to the world, a last attempt to express the depth of his existence, a challenge to the silence that had taken so much from him. As you sit in the quiet, the sound of the music envelopes you, and you can feel the weight of Beethoven's journey, a journey that was both physical and emotional. Though he was no longer able to hear the music he created, the emotion behind his compositions never faltered. The late quartets are not just about the notes, but about the expression of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Each chord, each shift in harmony, tells the story of a man who had suffered and struggled but had never stopped creating. His inner world, rich with passion, anger, sorrow, and joy, was poured into every movement. In these final years, Beethoven found himself questioning the very nature of his existence. He had already achieved fame and recognition, but what did that truly mean in a world where his ears no longer functioned as they once had? What did it mean to create music that no longer reached him? Yet, the answer came not in the external world, but within himself. Beethoven's music was no longer about others, it was about him, his soul, and his desperate need to communicate something universal. His late quartets, complex and elusive, spoke to that inner need. Imagine the scenes of Beethoven composing in his later years, hunched over the piano, writing not for a world that could no longer hear him, but for a world that could feel the depth of his spirit. The quiet of his study became a sanctuary, where each note carried the weight of a life lived in silence, but also in defiance of it. There was a quiet triumph in his music, not the loud, dramatic gestures of his earlier symphonies, but the delicate, thoughtful tones of a man who had transcended his limitations. As the music grows softer, there is a sense of serenity in the room. Beethoven's struggles are no longer a source of pain, they have become part of his legacy. His final quartets are filled with a gentle resolve, a beauty that exists not in grand gestures, but in quiet moments of reflection. These pieces speak to the power of endurance, of continuing to create in the face of personal limitations, and of finding peace in the act of creation itself. The story of Beethoven, especially in his later years, is one of resilience. Even when the world around him had begun to fade into silence, his music remained a force that transcended the limitations of the body. It was a force that connected his soul with the world, even if the sounds of that connection could no longer be heard by his ears. As the final notes of Beethoven's string quartets fade into silence, the weight of his legacy lingers in the air. You can feel it in your bones, in the quiet spaces between the notes, where his spirit continues to resonate. The music of his final years, though quieter and more introspective, carries within it the same boldness, the same defiance, that defined his earlier works. It is a testament to a life that was both full of pain and full of beauty, a life that gave birth to music that will never fade away, no matter how far into silence it may go. The evening air is cool, and the room is filled with the soft glow of candlelight. Outside, the world is quiet, but inside the heart of the music lingers. You can almost hear the subtle hum of the strings, the soft breath of the violin, as if the very space around you carries the weight of the sound. It's the lingering feeling that music, true music, doesn't end when the final note fades. It remains, echoes in the air, in the heart, and in the mind. In this moment, you feel the presence of Frédéric Chopin, whose music, though delicate, has left a deep imprint on the world. His nocturnes are known to be tender and full of longing, his etudes challenging both the pianist and listener to confront the depths of emotion hidden within simple melodies. Chopin's compositions were not only technical feats, they were explorations of the heart, of the quiet emotions that we often leave unspoken. The soft whispers of his piano reach your ears once again, and you are drawn into the private, intimate world he created with each piece. Chopin, though often alone and isolated in his final years, found in his music an escape, a place to express all the pain and beauty he could never speak aloud. His life, marked by fragility and illness, was reflected in every soft chord, every lyrical phrase that drifted from his fingertips. Music was not just his solace, it was his language. Imagine Chopin in his Paris apartment, where he spent many hours in isolation, composing under the dim light of a single candle. The delicate strains of the piano echo through the room, wrapping around you like a warm embrace. He plays, not for an audience, but for himself. His fingers move slowly over the keys, each note deliberate, each rest between them filled with emotion. There is a quiet intensity in his music, an expression of the fragility of life, of love, and of loss. You can almost feel the weight of the silence between the notes, the pauses that speak as loudly as the music itself. Chopin's compositions are often described as poetic, and in these quiet moments, you begin to understand why. Each piece is like a whispered verse, a delicate thread weaving together thoughts and feelings that cannot be captured in words. His nocturnes, with their gentle ebb and flow, tell a story not through plot or character but through mood and texture. There is an aching beauty in each piece, a yearning for something just beyond reach, but also a quiet acceptance of the transient nature of life. But even in his solitude, Chopin's music resonated deeply with those who heard it. Despite his ill health and personal struggles, he was celebrated across Europe for his ability to evoke emotion in its purest form. His piano became a voice for the emotions he could not express, the sorrow of a life lived in fragility, the joy of fleeting moments, and the beauty of love and loss. Though he was often ill and isolated, his music found its way to concert halls across the continent, captivating audiences with its tenderness and emotional depth. You can imagine the audiences who gathered to hear Chopin's music, their attention rapt as the soft notes of his piano filled the room. There was a reverence in the air, as if they understood that they were witnessing something rare and profound. Chopin's music, though deeply personal, became a shared experience, a connection between the composer and the listener that transcended language, culture, and time. His waltzes danced with joy, while his etudes challenged the very limits of musical expression, all the while carrying a sense of intimacy that invited every listener into his world. As the music continues, you begin to understand the true essence of Chopin's gift. It was not just about the technical brilliance of his compositions, nor even about the fame he achieved. It was about the way his music could speak directly to the heart, the way it could capture the quiet, tender moments of life that often go unnoticed. His music becomes a language of the soul, a bridge between the fragility of the human experience and the timeless beauty of art. Chopin, in his final years, composed pieces that would go on to become staples of piano repertoire, beloved not just for their beauty but for their emotional depth. His ballades, preludes, and sonatas remain central to the piano repertoire, each note an expression of the human experience. But even as his music was being celebrated, he lived in the shadow of his own health, battling illness and isolation. And yet, through it all, Chopin continued to write music that transcended the limitations of his body, music that became a part of him, a part of the world, and a part of the future. As the music gently fades away, you are left with the echo of Chopin's legacy. His compositions, full of emotion and delicate beauty, live on, continuing to speak to the hearts of all who listen. The world has changed since his time, but his music remains, timeless and pure. It speaks of love, of sorrow, and of the fleeting nature of life, inviting every listener to reflect on the quiet moments that shape the human experience. And in this moment, as the last notes fade into silence, you understand that Chopin's music will never truly end. It lives on, in the hearts of those who listen, in the silence between the notes, and in the soul of every person who hears his tender melodies. The room is quiet now, save for the gentle rustling of leaves outside the window. The moonlight spills in, casting soft shadows on the walls, and in the stillness, the faint sound of music lingers in your mind. It is not loud or brash, but rather a deep, resonant feeling that comes from within. The music, though no longer being played, still fills the room, reaching into the spaces between your thoughts and holding you captive. It is Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the piece that forever altered the world of music, a symphony that would forever change the way humanity would express itself through sound. The Ode to Joy, the final movement of Beethoven's Ninth, is not merely a piece of music. It is a declaration, a celebration of human spirit, of unity, and of hope. Beethoven composed it at a time when his own world had become one of silence. His deafness, once a looming shadow, had consumed his ability to hear the sounds of the world. And yet, in that silence, Beethoven composed the grandest work of his life. The contrast between the composer's personal struggles and the universality of the message in the Ninth Symphony is what makes it such an extraordinary achievement. As the music rises in your mind, you are transported to the grand concert halls where Beethoven's Ninth was first performed, and you can feel the electricity in the air. It was a moment in history when the very essence of human connection was celebrated through sound. The choir, the orchestra, and the soloists, all coming together in perfect harmony, lifting the audience into a collective experience of joy, of triumph. The Ode to Joy became not just a song of happiness but a powerful anthem of resilience, a cry from the depths of silence into the loudness of life. For Beethoven, this was not just a victory of composition, but a triumph of the human will. His deafness, which had once felt like an insurmountable barrier, became the backdrop against which his genius could flourish. With each note of the Ninth Symphony, Beethoven spoke not only of his own resilience but of the resilience of the human spirit as a whole. He created a piece of music that, despite his inability to hear it, would resonate across centuries, carrying with it the weight of humanity's deepest emotions. The notes of the Ninth Symphony linger in your thoughts like a breeze through an open window. You imagine Beethoven, alone in his room, writing the final measures of the symphony. The darkness of his world, the silence that enveloped him, did not diminish the brilliance of his mind. Instead, it transformed his music into something profound, something deeper. With each passing year, the world continued to change, but the music he created continued to stand as a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Beethoven had turned silence into his greatest ally, allowing it to shape the grandeur of his compositions, and with that silence, he left behind a legacy that would reverberate through history. As you sit with the music of Beethoven, you begin to understand the depth of his achievement. It is not simply the technical brilliance of his compositions that makes him great, but the way his music transcends the limits of sound. Beethoven's Ninth Symphony is an expression of unity, of togetherness, of joy, but also of the struggle to overcome adversity. Even in his moments of greatest darkness, Beethoven remained committed to creating something that would speak to the world long after he had gone. His music, like his life, was a celebration of endurance and hope. In the quiet of the night, you reflect on the Ninth Symphony and its place in the world. Beethoven's ability to create such a universal anthem while enduring personal trials is a reminder of the power of art to speak across time and space. The music does not belong to any one person or period, it belongs to humanity itself. It is a gift that continues to resonate with those who listen to it, not because of its technical brilliance, but because of the emotion and truth embedded in every note. The Ode to Joy is a song that speaks to the heart, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, we can find the strength to rise together and find joy. As the last echoes of the Ninth Symphony fade away, the world around you feels still, but the music lingers. Beethoven's legacy lives on in every listener who hears his work, in every performance of the Ninth Symphony, and in every person who finds comfort and inspiration in his music. The silence that once surrounded Beethoven is no longer his, but the music that emerged from it continues to speak louder than ever. The Ninth Symphony is not just a piece of music, it is a living testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the silence, there is music waiting to be heard. The room is quiet now, save for the soft, steady hum of the night outside. The city of Vienna lies still, bathed in the gentle glow of the moon. Inside, the flicker of candlelight casts long shadows on the walls, and you feel yourself drawn once again into the world of Ludwig van Beethoven, the man who defied all odds and composed some of the most timeless music ever created. As you sit in the stillness, your thoughts linger on the journey Beethoven took, a journey that was both outward and inward. He moved through the world of sound, through the world of music, with a purpose and a power that transcended anything ordinary. Yet, as much as he composed for the world, Beethoven was also composing for himself, to express the depths of his inner world, his pain, his hopes, and his triumphs. Each note, each symphony, each string quartet carried a piece of him, a piece of his soul, that no one could fully comprehend except for him. Even in his darkest moments, when his hearing failed him and the silence threatened to engulf him entirely, Beethoven's music continued to flow from him like a river of light, defying the boundaries of what was thought possible. Despite the growing isolation caused by his deafness, Beethoven's inner voice only grew stronger. He had learned to hear through his mind, to compose not with the sounds around him but with the sounds within. His music, more than any other composer's, became a reflection of his inner struggle, his unrelenting drive to speak to the world, to communicate with the universe through the language of music. As you listen to the faint echoes of Beethoven's compositions in the background, you are reminded of the incredible strength it took for him to create such masterpieces while grappling with the silence that encroached upon his life. His Fifth Symphony, with its famous four-note motif, speaks of victory and fate, of the inner strength to overcome the obstacles that stand in our way. That recurring motif, da-da-da-da, resonates with power and determination, symbolizing the struggle of the human spirit to rise above adversity. Beethoven's compositions were more than just musical works. They were expressions of his fight against the silence, the isolation, and the deafness that sought to consume him. Every symphony, every sonata, was an act of defiance, an assertion that no matter the challenges life threw at him, his spirit would not be silenced. The Ninth Symphony, with its Ode to Joy, is perhaps the ultimate expression of this. Despite all the suffering and isolation he endured, Beethoven composed an anthem of hope, of unity, and of shared human experience, a piece of music that continues to unite people across time and cultures. But as Beethoven's life comes to a close, the music slows, and there is a profound quiet that fills the room. His final symphonies, particularly the Ninth, are a culmination of his struggle and his triumphs. They are his legacy, not just as a composer but as a man who, despite every obstacle, found a way to express the depths of the human soul through music. The music, which had once been an extension of his pain, became his greatest gift to the world, a gift that would continue to inspire long after his death. Now, as you sit in the quiet of your own space, you reflect on the depth of Beethoven's journey. The silence he endured did not define him, instead, it became the canvas upon which he painted his most profound works. He composed not for recognition, not for fame, but because it was the only way he could truly speak. His music, born from his silence, became a voice for the human spirit, for all those who have ever experienced suffering, isolation, or loss. And in that way, Beethoven's music will never be silenced. The final notes of Beethoven's symphonies echo in the air, and you can feel the weight of their significance. His legacy, like his music, is eternal. His Ninth Symphony, with its stirring Ode to Joy, continues to be a rallying cry for the human spirit, a reminder that no matter the trials we face, there is always room for joy, unity, and love. The silence he once feared is now filled with the voices of millions, all moved by the same music that was born from his own personal battle. The music of Beethoven transcends time and place, reaching into the hearts of all who listen, and in that way, it will never truly end. The night grows deeper, the world outside drifting into a quiet slumber, but within the peaceful stillness of your space, there is the faintest echo, the echo of a symphony. It is not a single instrument you hear, but the layering of sound, the rise and fall of voices that seem to speak directly to your soul. The music surrounds you, warm and inviting, as if wrapping you in the arms of a distant dream. It's the music of Johannes Brahms, a man whose symphonies would come to embody the essence of emotional depth and complexity. You close your eyes, allowing the music to sweep you away. The sound of the strings grows louder, weaving through your thoughts like a flowing river. The piano joins in, soft and melodic, the rhythm steady and resolute. Brahms, whose early life had been filled with hardship and struggle, had created a world in his music where joy and sorrow coexisted, where even the darkest moments carried the seeds of hope. In the quiet of your mind, you can see Brahms at work. His hands, large and strong, yet gentle on the piano keys, create music that speaks of both the past and the future. His music is full of contrasts, each note dancing between light and dark, between tenderness and strength. It is a reflection of his own inner world, a world shaped by both great triumphs and profound losses. Brahms, like Beethoven before him, had a profound sense of the human condition, and his music mirrored that understanding. As the music swells and then fades, you are drawn into the emotional depth of Brahms' Symphony No. 1, which carries with it a weight that feels almost like a heavy sigh. The symphony was not born from immediate inspiration but from years of searching, years of working through doubt, failure, and loss. Brahms had spent decades attempting to create the perfect symphony, one that would live up to the legacies of Beethoven and other great composers. His symphony, though deeply rooted in tradition, was also revolutionary. It pushed the boundaries of classical music, infusing it with his own emotional depth and unique voice. The first symphony is filled with tension, an inner struggle between Brahms' sense of personal inadequacy and his unyielding desire to create something meaningful. Each movement reflects a different phase of his emotional journey. The first movement builds slowly, its opening notes full of grandeur, as if Brahms is declaring to the world that he has arrived. But even as the music rises, there is an undercurrent of doubt, a quiet hesitation that hints at the years of uncertainty that had preceded this moment. As the symphony continues, the music moves through moments of melancholy and joy, from sweeping, dramatic passages to gentle, intimate moments where the piano echoes softly through the orchestra. It is a piece that speaks of both struggle and triumph, of working through adversity to find peace. In the end, the symphony resolves into a triumphant finale, a declaration that, despite all the doubts and difficulties, Brahms has found his voice. Brahms' life, like his music, was marked by a sense of longing, a longing for something that he could never fully attain. He never married, and much of his life was spent in solitude. His music, however, was never alone. It was always a conversation with the past, with the traditions that had come before him, and a conversation with the future, the generations of musicians who would be influenced by his works. Brahms was acutely aware of the weight of history, but he was also determined to carve out his own place within it. He was often compared to Beethoven, and in his early years, he felt the pressure of living up to that legacy. But as the years passed, Brahms began to find his own voice. His music, though rooted in the classical tradition, began to reflect his unique emotional landscape. His symphonies, chamber music, and piano works are rich with complexity, each note imbued with his own personal experiences and emotional depth. Now, as you listen to the final strains of Brahms' music, you can feel the connection between his compositions and the life he led. The music, like his life, was not a simple journey from beginning to end. It was filled with moments of uncertainty, of searching, and of ultimately finding peace. Brahms' symphonies are not just technical achievements, they are expressions of the human experience, full of emotion and nuance. His music, though often somber, carries with it a sense of hope. Even in the darkest moments, there is always a flicker of light, a reminder that beauty can emerge from pain. Brahms understood that life is full of contradictions, joy and sorrow, success and failure, and he poured those contradictions into every note he composed. His symphonies are like the chapters of a book, each one telling a story of growth, of finding meaning in the midst of struggle, and of embracing the complexity of the human heart. As the final chords of Brahms' music fade, you feel a sense of calm wash over you. The music, though it has ended, lingers in the air, filling the room with a quiet peace. Brahms' legacy, like the music itself, is eternal, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. His symphonies continue to resonate with listeners around the world, touching the hearts of those who hear them, just as they touched Brahms' own heart when he composed them. The room is filled with the soft, lingering echoes of music that seems to live beyond time, beyond space. The quiet hum of the world outside fades into nothingness as the delicate sound of a single piano begins to play. The music, tender and evocative, wraps around you like a blanket, the notes floating effortlessly into the air. It's the world of Franz Schubert, the composer who, though short-lived, created some of the most sublime and deeply human music ever written. His songs, his symphonies, his chamber music all carry a sense of intimacy and quiet melancholy, reflecting the vulnerability of his own life. You close your eyes, and the piano's soft melody fills your mind, taking you back to the cobbled streets of Vienna, where Schubert, though largely unrecognized in his time, worked tirelessly to create music that would one day change the world. His life, though marked by personal and financial struggle, was one of immense musical brilliance. His compositions overflow with the complexities of human emotion, the longing, the joy, the sadness, and the beauty of living in a world that is at once fleeting and eternal. As the melody continues to evolve, you are taken into the heart of Schubert's music. His lieder, songs, echo in your mind, full of delicate beauty and profound emotional depth. Schubert was a master of the human voice. His songs, though simple, are full of a warmth and passion that transcend words. The piano accompaniment in his lieder isn't just a background, it's a reflection of the emotion in the voice, the heartbeat of the music. Ave Maria, perhaps his most famous work, is a testament to the way he could take the simplest of melodies and transform them into something that felt both deeply personal and universally accessible. The music shifts and flows, and you imagine Schubert in his small, dimly lit apartment, his fingers lightly brushing the piano keys. In these moments, Schubert's music becomes an intimate expression of his soul, a man who poured everything he had into his compositions, despite the lack of recognition during his lifetime. He wrote not for fame or glory, but for the sheer joy of creating, for the ability to express the feelings that words alone could not capture. His music was his way of communicating with the world, a way of leaving something behind that could touch the hearts of those who would listen. Schubert's Symphony No. 9, the Great, is perhaps his greatest orchestral achievement, yet it was not performed during his lifetime. Its sheer scale and grandeur were ahead of its time, but within it lies the emotional complexity and the profound depth that were signature elements of Schubert's work. Each movement in the symphony carries a sense of yearning, a search for something that is just beyond reach. As the orchestra swells and fades, you can feel Schubert's inner conflict, the battle between the joy of creation and the deep sadness of knowing that his time in this world was fleeting. But it wasn't just in his symphonies that Schubert captured the human soul. His chamber music, though often more intimate, is equally profound. The string quartets and piano trios that Schubert composed reflect the warmth and fragility of human connection. In these works, the interplay between the instruments is like a conversation between old friends, filled with moments of joy, melancholy, and unspoken understanding. The way Schubert interweaves melodies, allowing them to breathe and evolve, is a testament to his understanding of the emotional language of music. Each phrase is a delicate brushstroke on the canvas of sound, revealing the depth of Schubert's emotional landscape. Despite his early death at just 31, Schubert's music has lived on, transcending time and generations. He may have lived in relative obscurity, but his work has become a central part of the classical music canon. The music he created, both in its simplicity and its depth, speaks to the eternal human experience. In his songs, Schubert captures love, loss, longing, and hope, emotions that are as universal today as they were in his time. His compositions invite the listener into a world that is tender and honest, a world that resonates with the deepest parts of the soul. As the music of Schubert lingers in the air, you are reminded of the fragility of life, of how fleeting moments can pass in an instant, yet be immortalized in art. Schubert's songs, though quiet and introspective, carry a weight of emotion that feels timeless. His melodies don't shout, they whisper. They invite you in, drawing you closer to the emotional core of his music. In these moments of stillness, you realize that the power of Schubert's work lies in its ability to capture the human experience in its rawest form, in its ability to connect us all through the simple, universal language of music. The final notes of his Ave Maria fade, leaving behind a deep, peaceful silence. The music may be over, but its echoes remain, gently reverberating in the corners of your mind. Schubert's music, though soft and unassuming, is a reminder that beauty doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It is in the quiet moments, the soft melodies, that we often find the deepest connection to the human soul. The silence that follows is unlike any you have felt before. It's not empty, far from it. This silence carries with it the echo of everything that has come before, the weight of centuries of music that have shaped not only the world of sound but the very fabric of human experience. As you sit in the stillness, the final chords of the symphony fade into your mind, lingering like a soft aftertaste, an echo that continues to vibrate long after the music has stopped. In the quiet, you can almost hear the whispers of the great composers, Beethoven, Chopin, Brahms, Schubert, and so many others, their voices woven into the tapestry of time. Each one of them, with their struggles, their passions, and their boundless dedication to their craft, left behind a legacy that transcends their own lifetimes. Their music, their souls, have been immortalized in the melodies they created, and in this moment, their spirit fills the air, echoing through the corners of your mind. The legacy of these composers is not just in their music, but in the way it connects us all. Across centuries, their work has reached beyond borders, beyond language, beyond time, and has touched the hearts of generations. It is the language of emotion, the universal expression of what it means to be human. Whether in the grandeur of Beethoven's symphonies, the delicate beauty of Chopin's Nocturnes, the intimacy of Schubert's Lieder, or the emotional depth of Brahms' symphonies, their music tells the stories of life, love, loss, and the beauty that exists even in the most fleeting moments. As the last of the music fades into the night, a profound peace settles within you. The journey of these great composers, the emotional landscapes they navigated, and the ways in which they transformed their suffering into something transcendent, is complete. Yet their music, their souls, remain. They continue to resonate in every performance, in every note played, in every listener who allows themselves to be moved by the music. Imagine, just for a moment, the lasting echo of a symphony. The concert halls may empty, the piano keys may fall still, but the impact of the music lingers on, carried through time. It is passed from one listener to the next, from one generation to the next, transforming lives, healing hearts, and inspiring future artists to continue the journey. The beauty of music is that it is never truly finished. It exists beyond the moment, constantly evolving, constantly shifting, but always present. You close your eyes now, and in the silence, you can still hear the melodies. They are not distant or faint, but vibrant, pulsing, and alive. The music has become part of you, just as it is part of the world around you. You are connected not only to the composers of the past, but to the countless listeners who have felt the same emotions, who have experienced the same connections to the music, across all time. As you drift further into the stillness, a feeling of deep gratitude fills you. The great composers have left behind a treasure, not just in their music, but in their ability to remind us of the power of the human spirit, of the eternal resonance of love, joy, and sorrow. They have shown us that even in our quietest moments, there is music waiting to be discovered. And in the music, there is healing, there is connection, and there is peace. With each new generation, with each new listener, the symphonies play on. Beethoven's Ode to Joy, Chopin's Nocturnes, Brahms' Symphonies, and Schubert's Lieder will continue to inspire, to comfort, to challenge, and to connect. The music, once written on paper, now lives in the hearts of all who listen. It speaks not just of the past, but of the future, as a living, breathing testament to the enduring power of creation and the beauty that can emerge even in the face of adversity. And as the music fades, you find yourself filled with a quiet sense of peace, knowing that this melody, this symphony, is not just an echo of the past. It is a song that will continue to resonate, across time and space, always calling us to listen, to feel, and to remember. The music lives on, and so does its legacy.